number 6 for the Popolot Super Series. My name's Aidan and I'm here with Rangor.
Thanks, mate.
Rangor, what have you got to tell us about our finalists today?
Well, first of all, we've got Dr. Chris, who's a well-known Gosford player.
Yep.
He's been around the traps for quite some years. And secondly, we've got Andrew Jacobs. He's a bit of a name in Sydney, plays quite well, and he's a great player.
Yeah, very thoughtful player, Andrew.
Now, I think the opening here should be noted that he's kept a 5-land hand with a bonfire and a strangle geese, which is quite an odd thing to keep as you're opening against Delta.
Now, I have known Chris for quite some time, and I know that he's going to be thinking, oh, at least I've got land. He hates being mono-screwed.
Well, he's drawn a sword off the top. So I think he gets his geese down, he gets in for some damage. As long as he plays smart around the mana leak, he'll be fine with that hand. The worst thing you can do for Delver is make the mana leaks live.
Right, so they're fodder for Snapcaster, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, correct. So Andrew's probed, now he knows exactly what Dr. Chris has. So if there's a Delver in his hand and a mana leak, he won't play a Delver, he will just stay open with Cleat.
Yeah. Now, for those watching at home, Dr. Chris there on the left, he's actually the Popolot gnome, travelled around Europe, displaying the Popolot banner for all to see.
I believe his wife actually got quite concerned about it near the end there because she was carrying it. So we see the damage across. Oh, and now he chooses... This is quite an odd play, throwing into 2 and mana leak. Straight away, if you throw into that open mana, Delver's going to take as much advantage on that as they can.
Yeah. So I remember when we were watching this live, just wondering, why didn't he wait 2 turns?
Yeah, well, he's got so much land and he kept an open hand. Yeah. And here's the thing, if he had held that sword, he could now safely cast the sword with the geese.
Yep.
I mean, knowing Delver has infinite amounts of removal in Vapor Snag and Gut Shot, the geese won't stay forever, but it also may reset the counters off of Vapor Snag, so it's quite a good creature to try and hook up with that sword.
Alright, interesting. He swings with the strangle root. Goes to pump, but no, it's too late. Andrew forces him to go back. Now, why has he left himself open? Does he feel comfortable with that life buffer, do you think?
I mean, the geese are saying trap is a 4-turn clock if nothing changes, and the strangle root geese is a 6-turn clock. So you don't win that race without changing any other game state. I think in a similar position I would probably be sitting back, but you walk into Vapor Snag and the geese comes through anyway.
Sure. But the argument could be made that you're forcing the Delver player to use their Vapor Snags.
Correct. And that's probably the best move for you to do. And eventually something's going to stick.
Yeah.
So he's drawn another geese now, so he could have 2, which means there would need to be 2 Vapor Snags to clear the field. Or Vapor Snapcaster, of course.
During Dr. Chris's journey around Europe, he picked up some Spanish cards and included them in his deck today. Pillar of Lava being one of them.
Pillar of...
What is it?
Pillar of Flame?
Pillar of Flame. There we
I
go.
thought maybe that was the Spanish translation.
I think it was Pillar de Magma or something.
And so now he's chosen to keep that one as a blocker.
Yeah.
Resto Angel, and he did flicker though and used the same trap, even though it wasn't quite relevant. It's interesting to note that people don't know the Resto Angel actually has to target. It doesn't have to flicker, but it must target. Therefore, if on casting a Resto Angel you can remove any other creature bar a Phantasmal Image, it will die.
Good to know.
Right now, this looks like a race with a one-legged man.
So, retrospectively, if Dr. Chris had have kept his sword in hand and managed to equip it to one of his guys, do you think it would have bought him another turn, perhaps?
Andrews had quite a lot of answers anyway.
Yeah.
But saying that, the whole game state changes because Andrew knew the sword was there. So if Dr. Chris didn't throw it down into the mana link, he may not have played Guess the Same Trap the next turn.
Yep.
He may have waited to try and catch the sword. Knowing that the bonfire was there, he probably wasn't quite as risk averse bonfire off the top, because that's the only way Dr. Chris can get out of it right now.
Yeah.
As you see, he's going bonfire to take out the Guess the Same Trap.
And that's approved.
Well, even then, Andrew's holding a Snapcaster with a Vapor Snag in his graveyard, so he knows all he needs Dr. Chris to do is commit.
Yeah, and he's got a Vapor Snag in hand as well, so I think he's well and truly got control of this. I was talking to Andrew during the day and congratulating him on his performance. This is the first time he's actually ever top 8'd in a Pop a Lot event. He has top 16'd a couple of times.
He's done quite well in PTQs and GP trials and stuff before, I believe.
There we have it. Snapcasted into Vapor Snag for the win.
Game 1 goes to Andrew.
Alright, so into game 2. During the break we had a good look at their sideboards and tried to predict what changes they would make. You seem to think that Andrew Jacobs should bring in the Day of Judgment?
Yeah, I think it's probably pretty clear. They've seen each other's sideboards and deck lists, right? So that they know what each other has. Dr. Chris is probably going to bring Thrun in. Which means your main way to kill it from Jacobs is Image or Dodge. Dodge cleans up a lot of Dr. Chris's other creatures. It breaks pairings, and the Undying creature isn't great against Dodge, but I'd say Dodge is coming in.
Yeah. The other prediction we made was that Dr. Chris would bring in Crushing Vines.
Yeah, that's been his favourite card he was telling me about to kill Delver. I'm not quite sure why a 3-drop's so great to kill a 1-drop, but that's it also kills the swords.
Yeah, that's right. Here we have a 3-way split from Dr. Chris. All technical honest. Now, players should note that Dr. Chris has a habit of pushing his cards across the table as he gets a little bit more excited. I'm not sure if we'll see that this game, but we tend to refer to it as power creep. Notice that Bird of Paradise is taking as far across the table as he's allowed to go.
I have seen this before at a GP. I remember playing at a GP in Melbourne and a player called a judge and asked Dr. Chris to put his cards back behind the side of the table.
Right, yes, I believe that judge was Lindsay Hemming.
Yes, it was. I believe Lindsay was then called to give a ruling about where you could get a hamburger.
That's right, yes. Yes, to which he replied,
"Damn pirate."
That's right.
So Dr. Chris has had a Vapor Snag elf. Advancing his mana quite well here, which is quite good for trying to get out of the range of mana leak.
Yeah. Here we go again. 4-drop.
Here's the thing about Dr. Chris. He doesn't play around mana leak. He just throws straight into them. Yeah. It appears that I'm not sure whether his mindset is you've got it or you don't, or whether he just doesn't think that far ahead to mind. He's either straight in or not.
Yeah.
He does have a second Huntmaster card in his hand though, so even if he did think there was a mana leak, maybe he figured the next one resolved.
Andrew brings down Cavern of Souls. Now, during the match, he named humans, which is fairly logical.
For full value. That'll teach you for gaining life with your Huntmaster, Dr. Chris.
There's a bit of a debate as they compute the timely reinforcements, but eventually Andrew's given the 6 life and the 3 tokens here.
Do you know what that debate was over? Life discrepancy, was it? Or?
Yeah. Got to be careful around Dr. Chris. He'll try it on, in a very friendly way. He's actually a lot of fun to play against.
Do you know if Dr. Chris has ever replaced somebody's card with an ace of spades?
No, I don't. No. See, look at that. That wolf is clearly on the other side of the table. He's in his opponent's play zone.
It's moving ahead, isn't it? He chooses not to cast, to flip, and to kill a dude. And the budgies return to the land slot.
And Andrew makes copious notes, as any good player does here. I have seen a lot of new players not make those notes.
Well, you know about the one at WCQ, the player cast a probe on me. I put my hand on the table and he immediately drew a card, looked at it, looked back and said, "Where's your hand?"
Right, yes.
So you finish resolving the spell. Well, it was ruled that I needed to give him a look and then overruled by head judge, but I threw my hand on the table in good faith before the overruling and said, "Take a look, but don't do it again."
That's right. Yeah.
It's important for players to know exactly how their own spells work and resolve in matches when you're playing for serious prizes.
Alright, so Andrew stays at home. During upkeep, decides to Baker snag the opponent's creature there.
Yep, very good. Oh, I guess for the budget.
Well, that's a creature. Even though it was masquerading as a land.
Now those two spells cast flips the dude back in Andrew's turn.
Okay.
Yeah? I'm pretty sure if you cast two spells, the wolf flips back.
During the next upkeep.
Yeah, turn. So when it goes back to Andrew, the wolf will flip back.
Yep.
You can cast out his second Hunt Master here. Make a wolf. Into life. On tap upkeep. Why does that not go back?
So what's he got? Two sort of War and Peace in hand.
I'm pretty sure the wolf's meant to flip back, right?
I think so.
And Dr. Chris should make another 2/2 and gain 2 life. Maybe it's a missed trigger by Dr. Chris. These new rules are quite confusing on how they work, but whether that's one of these lapsing, non-lapsing, can't be missed,
right,
can be missed. Your must trigger is a may trigger. When it's a may trigger, it's a must trigger. Fantastic for new players.
Yeah. I had a interesting experience during the day regarding lapse triggers. I got to watch an interesting match between Lindsay Hemming and his opponent, and some degree of debate over that lapsing trigger.
Well, see, they noticed that it flips back now, but they missed it before.
Now you'll notice that the wolf token toward the bottom of the screen here is slightly edging forward. Now this is indicative of great restraint on Dr. Chris's behalf. He would normally be a good 3-4 inches further across the table at this stage.
Yeah, I've seen him at Friday Night Magics, and he likes to line his creatures up with my deck when he thinks he's winning.
That's a dodge in Andrew's hand. So we know he's holding a dodge and 2 Swords of War and Peace.
He's in quite a position on how he chooses to play it. I think that's Maulenhorn on the field as well, so he can make dudes to his dodge.
Yep.
No, to his dodge, to his
No,
sword.
to his sword.
Yeah, it would be nice if you equip things to dodge. This stage 2, 4, 6, 8. Quite a lot of cards in hand. You probably sword and swing. Dodge. Yeah, he's counting it up and seeing whether he's lethal. He's got two choices, clearly. He either dodges or swords and swings. I can't see if he's got other cards that are relevant, so...
So I'm guessing Dr. Chris is not expecting dodge, otherwise he would have blocked to avoid the loss of 2 life there.
Yeah, you think so? All his many dudes die quite quickly.
And he should be on 22. There we go. Andrew comes to the rescue. So he's got a brimstone volley in hand. Green sun, a bird, one other red card.
I think it might be Pillar of Flame.
Yeah.
Strangle Gaze.
Yeah, Strangle Roots coming out.
Remembers to shuffle his green sun back in.
Always a wise idea.
Okay, a very good player. Dr. Cruz keeps the pressure on.
Yeah, I like how Dr. Chris really maximises the use of the available play space. It's a very...
well, technically he's still on his half of the table, right? The middle of the table is the middle of the end.
Only just that, Rick.
Yeah, alright, I'll give you that.
So he's drawn another Strangle Root off the top.
He'll commit that for sure.
Yeah.
So let's use basics. Look at those cards. That's over past the M. You're there now. I'm winning, that says. If it's moved past your opponent's graveyard, it's technically on your opponent's side of the field now.
I think Dr. Chris has the smell of blood in his nose at the moment.
Yeah, this is pure, I think I'm winning Dr. Chris gameplay right here. This is what we've been talking about and we've both seen many times before.
And why wouldn't you feel like that? I mean, your opponent has what, one sort of piece, War and Peace out there? Yep.
He has one token.
No fear.
2 swords.
Ooh.
One card in hand.
Andrew has one card in hand.
Yeah.
Dr. Chris has 2, one of them being Brimstone Volley, the other being, what was it, Pillar of Flame?
Maybe Pillar of Flame. So he has 5 damage in his hand if that's the case, without killing a creature.
So why didn't Andrew stay at home here? Can you talk me through what's going on?
Andrew's on 5. I mean, if he probed not too long ago, right? So he's probably seen one of the burn spells. It's probably written on his notepad. If it's Brimstone Volley and he stays back, he kills a creature and dies.
Okay. Yep.
So I'm not 100% sure which one he's seen. But either way, he probably dies if he knows it's Brimstone Volley, because now he takes 4 and 3 no matter what. So
Andrew taking exception to the fact that Dr. Chris should be on 13, not 31. There's no blockers anyway, so, take 4, finish you off with Brimstone.
Exactly. But even if he does know there's a Brim, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if he blocks or not at that point.
This was almost a mirror image of their game earlier in the day, where Dr. Chris lost the first game, took out the second game, and then went on to beat Andrew during one of the earlier rounds. I was walking past the table when this happened, and right at this moment, Dr. Chris is reminding Andrew, just remember what happened earlier, you're saying. Just remember that. Okay, Rangor, so we're going into the third game here. Both players, 1 game apiece. What's that in Dr. Chris's hand? Is that a Phyrexian Metamorph at the end there?
Yes it is. And he's crushing vines, and he's choosing not to keep that one as well. So now he's going to go to 5. He's already mulled once, right?
Correct. I believe so.
It's not a good place to be against Delver when they're such a tempo aggro deck and you have to go down so low, but I guess he doesn't want to be trying to kill a Delver on turn 3 through Mana Leak with his great crushing blind tech.
And add to that too, Andrew, I said it earlier, he's a very thoughtful player. You can really see the cogs turning with every play that he makes. Now, I've never played against him, but I would guess that it would be very difficult to beat Andrew.
I've only played him once, which was earlier to the day of the event, which ended in my favour. But he's a Moto grinder that I know quite well, and he does really well on Moto. So he's the Delver, no blind flip. Honda to set up the Delver.
Okay. Second Delver.
Now this is exactly why people hate the Delver deck. That is not what you want. In that case, Dr. Chris couldn't have got out of it. He had no red source, so he could, even if he drew Bonfire off the top, he couldn't have killed both, because he couldn't cast it, and that's probably his only out before that flip.
So what do you reckon his best option is here? Oh, he's going to go Greensun.
In the case of facing 2 Delvers and not having a Bonfire out, you just need to pray. You need to put both your fingers together and ask the Lord to help you. Especially after going down to 5.
Do you think he made the right choice, playing the Greensun and going for a Strangle Root?
It's tough to say, he doesn't have a lot of other outs. The Delver was going to flip based off the fact that Andrew just pondered. You've got to assume he managed to set that up.
Yeah. That is so strong.
The plus side is at least you know that Timely's not going both ways. Do you know what he named?
I think it was Humans again.
Okay, because in this state, I suppose it's kind of irrelevant. Dr. Chris can't counter anything, so throw that Huntmaster down and hope it resolves.
That would be consistent, wouldn't it?
It would.
Turn 4 usually taps out.
The other thing is he may be thinking to just play his budgie and throw his herring dude next turn into any possible league. Yeah.
Interesting change of gameplay there from Dr. Chris.
Well, on the surface you probably think it's different, but he's actually planning to throw that 5-drop into whatever happens next turn, I would say. So he's probably throwing it down and pairing it with his strangle dude and swinging over.
And the Vapor Snag effectively time walks him, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, it would have done that no matter what he did. If he threw down the Huntmaster and there was no leak, then at least he gets a wolf and 2 life. Maybe he's thinking he needs the life to resolve, so he wanted something else to get leaked. He is the Popolot gnome.
Oh, this is true. Coming back to that, he did really well in Europe. He actually won an F&M in London against some quite good players. And then proceeded to journey all over Europe. Found it very hard to find Magic. And now look at this. He's pushing his cards forward as if he's winning.
It might be the Thrun. I mean, a single Vapor Snag or snap into Vapor Snag and he dies next turn. Like,
so he's obviously choosing the life buffer instead of the goodness of Thrun.
Yeah, but I think he knows a Vapor Snag's too risky at this stage. Chooses not to flicker, which is totally legal.
Yep. Targets.
He does actually have to pick a target.
And there we go.
Yeah. Well done, Andrew.
Yeah, congratulations, Andrew Jacobs. And I've got to say, Dr. Chris was very, very happy with his own performance. To get to second, I've got to take my hat off to him. But Andrew was in complete control, obviously, that last game. What team does he play for?
He was in the Genies last team, but he's not sure if they still exist because nobody showed up. But I think he's still in the Genies at the moment.
And for those players watching at home, our next event is on the 29th of July at Hornsby RSL. And we have 2 Papa Little events before then. Now, Papa Little events are new events hosted by store owners where players can go and accrue more Papa Lot points and perhaps even win a free ticket into the Papa Lot event.
I'm looking forward to those Papa Lot events.
Yeah,
Papa Little events.
Papa Little events, yes.
Papa Little, Papa Lot.
And I'd like to give credit to James McKay.
It was. James McKay thought of the name over a few tequilas one night, a few beers, and came up with the idea of the Papa Little name.
I've just got to say, the team at Papa Lot were laughing so hard when they heard it, so we ran with it. No, we hope it's going to be a success. All right, well, look, thanks very much, Rangor.
No worries.